We at CAF are committed to supporting a thriving civil society, and we recognise that equality of every kind is crucial in helping us to build a fairer world, a more sustainable planet. We heard from some incredible women today. Each one of them gave us learnings, understanding, and a real motivation to take action, to try and create impact within our own organisations, but also impact outside our own organisations in terms of working with the NGO sector, with government and businesses to create a collective momentum.
There absolutely is a business case for gender equality. There's been many, many empirical studies at individual country level or around the globe or a particular region, and they all show a positive correlation between having more women in the workforce or on the boards and results. And I think it's to do with the fact that we bring something slightly different to the table. It's not just about being nice to women, gender equality, it's actually about improving thinking in our companies and businesses. I think if we invest for good, we're actually likely to see better, more sustainable long-term returns and lower risk. I think there's a very big ascendancy of thinking around the fact that sustainable competitive advantage is also to do with managing businesses responsibly, and that actually short-term wins are often incompatible with long-term gains. And what I think the SDGs do is to focus companies, they perhaps put a framework around doing things that are sustainable, also things that are good. In all honesty, I think we'll only ever be able to achieve anything that approximates gender equality if we collaborate. So I think this takes organisations, whether they be public or private, to collaborate with each other. I think it requires collaboration between men and women. There are two sides to gender equality, the male side and the female side. We've often focused on women's progression, but we need to look at what it means for men and what it means to be a man in today's world. And of course, collaboration between women. Often, sometimes people can be territorial. What we're interested to hear are the results, and I think we need to work together to achieve them.
When we're talking about gender equality, we're not just talking about the rights of women and girls. We're talking about how to make the world a place where everyone can thrive. At the moment, girls have a lot of obstacles to be able to thrive in the way they should be able to. All we want is for people to be the best they can be, to take advantage of opportunities, to reach their potential. And women and girls need a hand there. There's so many obstacles they face in the law, in society, and they are not yet in an equal place. So we need to all come together and give them a boost. A lot of us care so much about this work, and there are so many people who want to be involved. Unfortunately, it needs money to make it happen. So we rely on the generosity of individuals, on foundations, to help us help other people, and actually even to get involved and see what they can do. So philanthropy plays such a big role in allowing us to make the world a better place. The way we measure our impact is to understand first the problem. If we have the right data, the right knowledge, the right circumstance of what we're trying to change, and then we have very clear goals on what we want to change. So the way we measure our impact is how we've reached those goals. Where do we start? Where do we end up? What have we achieved in the middle? And it's not always a straight line. We often pick up different things along the way. Sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes it works better than we hope. So it's a constant reevaluation of what we need to do to make progress.
The advice that I give to anyone who's looking to generate senior stakeholder engagement with the SDGs and the buy-in they need in their organisation is twofold. Firstly, that they need to communicate the moral imperative for action. So that means understanding the SDGs and what they mean for their organisation. And secondly, they need to understand the value proposition. So that means, are there financial opportunities? Is there an opportunity for growth there for that organisation? For me, the thing that's fascinating about the SDGs is that they give us an opportunity for partnership on issues like gender equality that we hadn't thought about before. So, for example, with something like food insecurity or climate justice, there's an opportunity there to open up a conversation that brings in gender and a gender dimension that was missing previously. The SDGs are all about a connected system. They're a framework that should be seen as a whole. That doesn't mean we have to work on all of the goals all together all the time, but it does mean that we have to have an awareness of the relationships that exist between these seemingly separate issues, and that means that we have to work in new and interesting partnerships in new ways, and also outside of our silos, outside of our echo chambers. The SDGs provide us with a good framework from which to approach responsible business, because for the first time, we've got a globally agreed action plan for the future, a future that is fair, just and sustainable. It's got the buy-in of global leaders in government, it's got the buy-in of the civil society community. It's an opportunity for us to work collectively to address what are the biggest threats to both business and to people in the future.
Well, I would say one of my key messages on this and all the work we've done in the last 15 years is to try and reframe the topic. Too often when people hear gender issues, they think women's issues. And I think it's time to shift away from that frame and into seeing it really as a business opportunity, as a leadership challenge and skill. And how do we equip leaders to become gender bilingual, equally good at connecting with 100% of the talent and 100% of the potential marketplace. I think that's equally and even more true, of course, at country or government level. Women are 50% of the population. That's a very different argument. So representation becomes key. And we know that countries that are more gender balanced are more competitive economically, and they're also happier for human beings. Both issues are real opportunities for organizations to grab onto these subjects as competitive differentiators with in their marketplaces, in their countries. I think they can use them as opportunities to brand, to be innovative, to be disruptive, to be leading edge, and to become magnets for everybody who believes in more gender balance, more equality, using the talent that is now on display in countries around the globe. Women are now 60% of university graduates globally. That's an opportunity and talent pool waiting to be seized. That smart talent is going to be attracted to organizations that can claim that they are way ahead on goal number 5. Well, I think companies are interested and motivated by performance. And so I think the link should be a very business-driven language, showing that the SDGs are a competitive edge that companies can use. And I think there's now so much research showing the correlation between better bottom line performance linked to better balance in leadership for organizations. So I think SDG number 5 is clearly in the interests of businesses, and making that argument very clear. I would argue making it completely a business issue and a business opportunity, and maybe calming down some of the language that refers much more to women. It is not about women. It's about balance, it's about performance, it's about returns, and that's the kind of language that will have a bigger impact.
I think it starts by taking individual responsibility and understanding why the SDG should matter to you as an individual. What is it about the 17 SDGs that you can relate to personally, or your family, or perhaps, people who will, or a society that would experience and be better informed by having development in all of these areas? It's so important for people to understand that all of these points, all of these issues around the SDGs are relatable to us, not just individually, but also collectively. So if we start by understanding and taking individual responsibility, that's how we can start to make a change. absolutely helped the gender equality agenda. It's actually put it on the global platform, and that's what we need it to be. So the fact that the United Nations is driving this, it makes it one of the priority goals of the nation, the member states of the United Nations. It means they have to take notice. And we all understand that usually for anything to drive change, you need people, leaders especially, to be accountable. And so if member states, their presidents, their ministers are looking at this as a real issue, a real topic, something that they have to drive in their individual nations, then it means that the SDGs are actually helping the gender equality agenda. We just need to now break it down and truly understand how it can be more effective in each nation and also achieve that collective, national, international accountability in driving the true change for gender equality. Succeeding in resolving these issues around gender equality, I think, starts from being bold and disruptive. And being disruptive, for me, means to be vocal and not to be, hindered by societal perceptions of good or polite behavior. The time for good and polite behavior was 100 years ago. The time for being nice and waiting for everybody else to kind of come on board was a long time ago. Right now, what we need to do is to be vocal, is to think outside the box, and that is where being disruptive is. Look at the status quo and say, this doesn't work because society has evolved from this. Women are now so much more than they used to be because of the opportunities available to them. And as well, women are also creating opportunities for them. So it means that in terms of driving change, it has to evolve with